Hi there everybody, this is David, and there are a ton of great games out there, and each game kind of like fits its own different category, the best story, the best combat, games everybody should play, nostalgic childhood games, all that kind of stuff. And there's been this meme going around lately that, you go ahead and you take 25 games and you plug them into these categories, and you kind of like get to know somebody. So I went ahead and I made one of these and I shared it over on the Twitter, and now I kind of like want to go in depth into these games and tell you why they fit these categories and kind of like get to know me as a gamer, And I definitely do think that's worth the sub as you come and you join a party and you level on up with me. Thank you so much for your sub, your like, and your brand new hype. It helps me out a ton. So we're going to be going through 25 different games here. Different games. I'm not doing like the same game for different categories or anything. Each game has its own category, and I want to talk about why they're such great games, why they kind of fit that category as well. So we're going to be starting off with games that everybody should play, and I've got to say, it's got to be Chrono Trigger. I first played this one, I want to say it was probably in middle school, I think 8th grade, 1995, whenever it came out, and I got it for Christmas, and I have been in love ever since. A lot of times RPGs, they like kind of add like unnecessary pacing, like unnecessary things, just kind of like fluff or whatever, but everything in Chrono Trigger is so well thought out and everything kind of has its place. It just makes sense. There's nothing wasted. There's no wasted potential here. There's no wasted time. It is a tight, great story. The combat is absolutely fantastic. It has been copied so many times by so many different games like Sea of Stars or these other, indie games and everything, but nobody can actually replicate it. They all try, but they can't actually get there. The combat is great. There's multiple endings. This is one of the very first RPGs ever that featured multiple endings as well as a new game plus. And each ending isn't just like a little bit different than the rest. Like they're all very different. All the characters are just fantastic and engaging. You can go through all these different timelines and everything and see the world in different eras. It's just fantastic. It's one of the most complete JRPG experiences ever made. There is nothing wasted there, and I think everybody should definitely find some time to play Chrono Trigger. For a nostalgic childhood game, I chose Final Fantasy Legend 2. I was thinking about, different NES games and things like that, but they kind of fit different categories. But I was like, you know what? I played Final Fantasy Legend 2 so many times back in the Game Boy, back on road trips, or just kind of like driving around or whatever in the back seat. And it is just so much fun. The mechanics are super simple. The battle system is simple. It's a turn-based RPG with random counters, but the battles are very, very, very quick, lightning fast, easy to grasp. There's multiple worlds. I think that there's like 11 different worlds, and they're kind of like Greco-Roman themed. There's like different gods and goddesses like Venus and Ashura and Apollo and everything, and each god kind of rules their own world. As you go through them, you look for the 77 magi, and then you like also like try to find your missing father and everything. And like each world is just different. Like there's a giant world, there's like an oriental world, there's a world of beauty, there's like a desert world. Like each world is just its own different thing, and they're all so unique, which is great, like on a simple Game Boy game and everything. There's also like this party customization. You can choose between humans, who are like your physical fighters, your mutants, or your, magicians or whatever, robots who kind of level up as you equip them with different stuff, and then monsters who change and evolve whenever they, eat meat and everything. So each time that you play it through, it's just a little bit different. And it's just a game that has always stuck with me, and I've loved it ever since I was a kid. And I'm not just saying that because, I played it as a kid. It is still, to this day, I think, one of the best RPGs I've ever played. I would put it up there in like my top 10 best RPGs. As far as best retro games, this is whenever an NES game kind of fit the category for me. And I was thinking, maybe Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy or whatever, but I had to go with Crystalis. I feel like it still kind of stands the test of time. It's an action RPG, and it is so much fun. It's kind of like open region, actually. Like these regions that you go through are really big, especially for an NES game, and they're filled to the brim with monsters. And what's really fun about it is back in the day, like whenever you were fighting monsters, a lot of the times you had to get like very close up to the enemies with like teeny tiny swords, like in Lagoon, you're fighting like a toothpick or whatever. But in Crystallis, like you shoot out like a sword laser, you know? So you can be like really far away from the enemies and just, you know, just zap them and everything. And there's 4 different elementally themed swords, and there's different magical spells. There's healing spells, teleportation spells, telepathy spells, floating spells, barrier spells, things like that. And progression it can be complicated. I remember that pretty much every single issue of Nintendo Power had something in Counselor's Corner of like, how do I get through Crystallis? I'm so confused, I'm lost, where do I go? But it was really a lot of fun. There's like different accessories and stuff. Back at the time, the accessories like weren't really a thing. There's like rabbit boots where you can jump around. There's gas masks to like protect you from poison and things like that. There's warrior ring to make you shoot at the little sword bullets constantly. There's magical bracelets that power up your swords and everything. Like, it is really, really good. Lots of towns, lots of dungeons, lots of really good stuff. I do wish that really spawned a series, or at least a sequel or something, because it was just such a fantastic game, and it really is a shame that it was lost to the sands of time. For the best dungeon design, I chose Lufia 2. I mean, the puzzles are just insane. They are integrated directly into the dungeon progressions. They're not just like optional extras, you know what I mean? There are some that are optional for like super treasures and stuff like that. For the most part though, you do have to solve all the various puzzles to get through, and they can be brain bending, but they're not like so super frustrating that you get completely stuck or anything. And each of the dungeons, like, they're different, and they introduce new mechanics that keep things fresh. In one dungeon, you might just be, like, bombing different walls or whatever. In other ones, you might be pushing blocks around, like creating arrows or stuff. You could be hitting pillars to, like, do different musical notes. You could be throwing ice cubes into lava to, like, create a little bridge or whatever to cross it. And there's different tools that you use to progress through the dungeons as well, from arrows and bombs and hook shots and all sorts of different stuff that you can use, fire arrows, all sorts of stuff. It is a lot of fun. There's even some times when you have to like use the enemies to solve the puzzles, because the enemies are on screen and you can see them move, and sometimes you have to like trap them on a button or whatever to hold them down or whatever. Like, it is really a lot of fun. I love Lufia 2, love the dungeon design there. Turning my brain off, I thought, you know what is a good game to just kind of like veg and relax to? That is definitely Secret of Mana, another one of my favorite childhood games. I love this game. Came out in '93, so I was 11 years old when I first played this one, and it's just a lot of fun, you know? It's real-time combat, it's action-based combat, it's simple, it's easy to get into, the storyline is lighthearted and upbeat and fun, the graphics are beautiful. You can play as 3 different characters, the girl, the sprite, or the boy, and 8 different weapons and 8 different elemental magic spells, and you just kind of like explore the world, you know? You just spend time going around and just exploring and going off the beaten path and seeing what is out there. It's just a perfect little game that you can play, and you don't have to like optimize everything, although as a kid I did. I always got like level 8 on every single weapon, level 8 on every single spell, but nowadays I would just kind of like go through and just do whatever, because like I just kind of want to relax, you know what I mean? And it's a great, fun, relaxing game. For not usually my thing, but I chose Harvestella. This game was marketed as Square Enix's answer to Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons, you know, a farming sim sort of game, but honestly, like, that marketing scheme did not do it justice at all. It is really an action RPG through and through. It reminds me a lot more of Mana than anything else. You have a party of 3 different party members, and there's multiple different job classes. I want to say there's like 12 different job classes, and you can switch through the job classes with your hero, and you can like upgrade those job classes on a skill tree, but each of your party members is like locked into their one job that they kind of bestow upon you. As you meet each character, they'll join you as their job, and then they'll kind of just bestow their job upon your hero so you can change and transform into that job, and it's a lot of fun. The farming you really only need just for money and gold, all that kind of stuff, but it's not the biggest deal, and you can really get through the entire game by doing maybe an hour of farming a day, and that's an hour in-game, not real time, so maybe like, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes of just farming each day, and you'll be fine. You don't have to get up to $1 million gold or anything to get through the game. It's perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable, and it is so much fun. There's like 4 elementally themed lands and these like crystals that you have to go to and everything, but then like what you think is just kind of basic, it kind of evolves into this whole like Earth, moon, futuristic time travel-y thing that you don't really expect coming. Like, you don't really think that that's what the game's going to be all about, but it is, and it's really, really good, and it's a very underrated game. I've always said I wish that it was titled Harvest of Mana, and I think that it would have done so much better if it was, because then people would have been like, oh, it's a Manda game with like a little bit of farming, rather than being called Harvestella, and people think that it's farming with something else added on, because that's not really the case. For the best indie game, I chose Chained Echoes. I love this game. I love it so, so, so much. This took all the best qualities of SNES RPGs, of things like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI and things like that, Xenogears, and they kind of like put it all together into one game very smartly. Very astutely. They put this all together. They didn't just, throw everything together into a blender and hope that it came out right. They really went ahead and they designed this so, so well, with great modern quality of life improvements, like this bonus board that you can go through and get like extra bonuses and stuff for like doing every little thing. It's almost like an achievement system sort of thing, but you actually get like rewarded for the achievements. There's tons of exploration, huge regions, huge just off the beaten track dungeons that you don't have to go to, and treasures that you can grab, that it just makes it so much fun. It is definitely a love letter to retro RPGs. Lots of great characters that join up, and you can like switch between them in battle. There's this meter in battle where you have to like keep it in like the sweet spot, so you don't just attack. You're always kind of like trying to keep this balanced meter in there or whatever, and it's just great. It's very, very, very smart. For a game that made me think, I've got to say Xenogears. This was some highfalutin stuff for me when this came out. I was in high school whenever I played Xenogears, and gosh, like, this was so philosophical. This was very Freudian, with the id and the ego and the super ego, and trying to figure out who Faye is and what is going on in his personality and his mind, existentialism and all that. But there's also like themes of religion and just existence and the world, and it's just unbelievable. This is a lot of games, a lot of RPGs in general. They kind of like hit you over the head with, hey, idiot, this is what we're trying to say. And Xenogears does not do that. Xenogears treats you like an adult with an actual brain in your head, and they expect you to kind of like, connect the dots together and figure it out on your own. And while it does have its flaws, I mean, there was disc 2, it is still just a fantastic game. It is so freaking good. It leaves you with a lasting impression. It's something that you just do not forget. Once you play Xenogears, you will never, ever, ever forget it. For my favorite antagonist, I chose Wild Arms XF because there was one particular antagonist in Wild Arms XF, and that is Edna. And I love her. She's an absolute bitch. Like, she is downright hysterical from the second that you meet her all the way up to the bitter end. And whereas a lot of other characters can be like, boring as watching paint dry or whatever, like Edna is the reason to continue playing this game. She is psychotic, she is greedy, she is condescending, she is cowardly, but she steals every single scene that she is in. She delivers these like ridiculous monologues with the best voice actress I have ever seen in my entire life. She is like the most ridiculous antics going on constantly. She's almost like a wacky soap opera character going on through, and like she is just like going around from room to room, bitch slapping slapping villains left and right, blackmailing them, berating them, just humiliating them, and she's just so freaking funny. I love Edna. She is just like, you love to hate her, but I actually don't even hate her. I love Edna. She is just, I would play a Wild Arms game starring Edna. Like, she is that good. I love her. She's so freaking funny. For my favorite protagonist, I chose Ryudo of Grandia 2. And here's the deal with protagonists. There are so many protagonists who are just like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed teenagers who just want to save the world with the power of friendship and love. And it's just like, bitch, bye. Like, that's not the real world, you know what I mean? But Ryudo, he is cynical, he is sarcastic, and he's kind of an asshole. And he's also like a womanizing asshole, and he's funny. He is funny. He is like, in the real world, he's down in the trenches, you know? And whenever the story starts leaning into like religion and faith and Elena going on about how she's a songstress and the church is so great and blah, 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 Rita's like, like, you know, you're dumb as hell. Like, he pushes back in like a really realistic way, you know, and it's just kind of like lovable or whatever. And also he grows throughout the story. In like some characters, they grow throughout the story, like Luke in Tales of the Abyss, but it's like there's one particular moment in Tales of the Abyss where Luke has like a personality swap, you know what I mean? And that's not the case here in Grandia 2. He grows and he changes slowly throughout the story. You know, he doesn't just suddenly become a pure-hearted hero. He softens in like more believable ways that like actually makes sense as he gets to know Elena and the rest of the party and all that kind of stuff. He knows how the world works, and he's just kind of like tired of the world's bullshit, and he kind of wants to change it on his own terms, and I love that. For a criminally overlooked game, I chose Hexus Force. Such a good game. This game only came out on the PSP, and I think that's why the reason like nobody played it, because, you know, it's PSP. And but it's so good. It's a traditional turn-based RPG, a dual protagonist system. I love dual protagonist systems. There's like a light side of the planet, so the planet is totally locked. So there's one side of the planet that's always facing the sun, one side that's always facing the moon. And you can choose a protagonist. The girl always faces the sun, the boy always faces the moon, and it's like two different worlds. A lot of the times in these dual protagonist games, it's like you go through the exact same story, but two different viewpoints. But this is two different worlds that you're going through. So yeah, they will meet up, but they meet up very rarely. You know what I'm saying? They meet up very rarely in maybe like an underground tunnel system or a dungeon here and there, or maybe at like one particular boss fight or whatever. But for the vast majority of the game, the girl is going to be the light side of the planet. The boy is going to be on the dark side of the planet. I think it's Cecilia and Levant. It's been years since I've played this game, but it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And then after you beat the game with both characters, then they finally join up, and you can, you know, get like the good ending or the ultimate ending or the ultimate, you know, way to beat the game or whatever. And it's so freaking good. This is criminally overlooked. It flew under the radar because of the PSP. If this thing came to the Switch or something, I think that it would sell like hotcakes. It is so good. A game that needs a remake, Skies of Arcadia. So good. I love a game that gives you an airship right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? It just says, here you go out and explore, see the world, do what you do, and have fun with it. And it just lets you loose to go out and explore. You're Vice, a sky pirate, part of the Blue Rogues, and you have your little friends with you, Aika and Fina. And then there's like a fourth, you know, flavor of the week character that joins you here and there or whatever as you go on through. But turn-based battles, you fight in the airship, there's airship encounters, you land the airship, go on these floating continents, and each of these continents is ruled by like a different elementally themed moon. Like there's, you know, the jungle place by the green moon, and then the desert place by the red moon or whatever. And it's just amazing. Like each one has its own particular culture as well. You can totally tell that like these different lands, these floating islands, don't really interact that much with each other because of the way that they're so isolated. So they all have very distinct cultures, very distinct ways of life, and it's very realistic for a video game. And a fun thing that I really like doing is world treasures, world discoveries. As you're flying around the airship, you'll find these different things just kind of like in the air, and you can discover them and explore them and just really see the world. There was a spiritual successor to it called Nostalgia for the Nintendo DS, which kind of is a similar thing, but I'm not really talking about Nostalgia right now. But hey, if you want something that's similar to Skies of Arcadia, hey, check out Nostalgia. It is really good too. This is a top tier, great RPG, and we'd love to see a remake. For an overrated game, now we're getting into Final Fantasy. It's been a hot minute. I chose Final Fantasy VIII. Yeah, there's no secret that I don't like Final Fantasy VIII. Okay, so here's why. A lot of people like it. I don't know why. I felt like the junction system, it sounded deep, but really all it encourages you to do is draw until you get 100 magics, and then never cast magic spells and only attack. That's it. Because if you dare use a magic spell, then your stats will go down, and I didn't like that. Then I also didn't like how the enemy scales with your level. So not only are you encouraged to not really do anything besides attacking in battle, but you're not really encouraged to fight at all, because the more you fight, the harder the bosses and the enemies become. So you're actively encouraged to only attack, and then actively encouraged to avoid every single encounter. And the game can just be broken so easily because of the card game system. Well, before you even leave the first town, you could be completely super overpowered just by playing cards. So it's just what? It's just the best way to play the game is to not play the game. The best way to play the game is to just play a card game, and then to avoid every single encounter, and then to just physically attack. So it's hey, we want you to play this game, but don't actually play it, because if you play it, you're going to screw yourself. And it's just what? No sense. For underrated, I chose another Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy V. This could very well be my favorite Final Fantasy game of them all. I love a good job system. I've always said it, love a good job system, and this is probably the best job system in the entire Final Fantasy franchise, if not just the best job system ever created in an RPG. There's other RPGs out there, the Bravely Default series or whatever, that do have job systems, but I feel a lot of the times in the Bravely Default series, it makes you, if you are not one particular job during a particular boss fight, then you're gonna die. But Final Fantasy V, it's so flexible. You can be whatever job you want, and you can still succeed. So you can break the game if you want to by doing different experimental jobs, and some jobs are obviously better than others, but it just encourages you to really play around with the system and explore the system. And the game is lighthearted. It's a lot of fun. The way that the world changes kind of evolves with you, and then by the time that you get to the third world, it's kind of hey, do you want to just beat it? Or do you want to go around and really get everything, get these ultimate weapons and do these ultimate side quests and everything? It's up to you. You can do what you want to do with Final Fantasy V. The story's lighthearted. It's just funny and joyful, and I love that. I love a game that lets you just kind of enjoy it, and I really enjoy Final Fantasy V. For an overhated game, not overrated, an overhated game, I chose Ni no Kuni 2. I feel everybody and their mothers, oh, this game sucks, it's terrible, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, it's not as good as Ni no Kuni 1, but is it a bad game? No, I don't think so. The music is great. The overworld is fantastic. I love a great overworld. Treasures everywhere, super powerful, vicious monsters everywhere, little caves and nooks and crannies that you can go to everywhere. Tons of side quests. Way too many side quests, actually. There's a billion side quests out there. But again, if you want to do them, do them. If you don't, don't. It's completely up to you. There's kingdom building, so you can really dive deep into that if you want to. You can't ignore it completely because you have to do some of it. But you don't have to get so in depth with it if you don't want to. There's these overworld skirmish battles, real-time strategy battles and stuff that you could do. There's just regular fighting and all that. It's kind of like Suikoden. where you can really focus on your kingdom, or you can go out and do these skirmish battles, or you can just do regular turn-based encounters. It's the same sort of thing with Ni no Kuni 2. There's a lot of different party members. There's like these higgly things that you can go and you can recruit into your party and change the way around and all that. Like, it is just a lot of fun, and I don't think that it deserves the horrible game reputation that it has, because it's not a horrible game. It's not as good as Ni no Kuni 1, but it's not a bad game. It is still a very, very good game, and I really enjoy it. For the best combat system, I chose Radiant Historia. Love this combat system. So good. So good, so good, so good. So it's based on this grid system. Like, there's a 3x3 grid, and each enemy is on their particular grid, and you can push and pull and move the enemies around on the grid. You can like set a trap and push them all into a trap, and then you can like set your characters up and say, okay, I want this character to go first and push them all into this corner, and then I want this character to go next and then attack them, and then you attack all the enemies because they've all been pushed into this one corner, this one grid. So each battle is almost like a puzzle where you're trying to maximize your efficiency, and it really rewards like your planning over just saying attack, 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 heal. You really have to plan out each battle, each encounter to push, pull, trap, debilitate, do whatever it is you have to do to get through the battles, and it's so much fun. And I wish that more games did something like that, because it's just so smart. And where it is turn-based, it just kind of like does a different element to the turn-based battles that a lot of other games don't do, and I haven't really seen done in really any other games at all. So yeah, really, really, really good. For the biggest personal impact, Dragon Quest III. I played this in 4th grade. I broke my arm. I played in 4th grade. I stayed home from school, and my mother wheeled the NES into my bedroom, and I played the bejesus out of this thing, and I loved it. I remember whenever I first got to Romilly, I thought, wait, Rome? And then I saw Portugal, and I'm like, wait, Portugal? And then Isis, and I'm like, Egypt? And I'm like, wait, hold on a second. And I pull out a map of the world of Dragon Quest III, because it came with like a world poster. And then I pulled up like my world atlas, and I'm like, oh my, this is based on like a real world. And it really got me into like geography and history. And like, I would look up these places and cultures and things, and it probably pretty much like really changed the trajectory of my life to become like a social studies teacher and a geography teacher and everything like that. Like, I probably wouldn't have gotten into that if I didn't play this game and like really get into it and like really like see all this stuff. It was so cool. I played it so many times because just like Final Fantasy Legend 2, like there's different job classes, and you can change your job classes, right at the beginning of the game, and you can say, I want a soldier, a fighter, or a merchant, or a pilgrim, or a wizard, or a goof off, or whatever, and then change your job classes halfway through with a Shrine of Dharma, and it's just so cool. And the way that it connects back to Dragon Warrior 1 as well just blew my little mind as a kid. Like, it is such a good game. It really impacted me personally as I went through, and I just kind of think it really did change the trajectory of my life, and for that I'll be forever grateful to it. I really will. For the favorite art style, I chose Visions of Mana. I love the art style in every Mana game. Legend of Mana, absolutely gorgeous. I even thought that the cell shading in Dawn of Mana, say what you will about the game, was gorgeous. Secret of Mana, of course, but Visions of Mana is the newest Mana game, and it does have the best visuals, and it's just beautiful, beautiful. It is not brown and gray and dark and drab. It is bright and colorful. Everything feels alive. It's not just like this washed out realism. The character designs are like so cool, so different, so unique. Each job class looks different than the last job class. Everything just looks so beautiful. And I like bright, beautiful, colorful, cheery games. Those are my favorite. Like, there's enough grossness in the real world, you know what I mean? I don't need that in my video games. I want something bright and beautiful and gorgeous and cheery. That's what I love, and I love that art style. It is so good. For the best story, I chose Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one. I I remember watching the opening cutscene of the Bionis and the Mechonis like fighting each other, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And then actually being able to like be on the Bionis and the Mechonis, and like, oh god, I'm going up the Bionis' leg, oh, I'm at the Bionis' midsection, oh, I'm on the Bionis' shoulder or the head or the neck or the arms or whatever, oh, I'm going through Sword Valley, the swords that connect the Bionis to the Mechonis. And I'm like, so it wasn't just like something that was just like a cool concept, it tied directly into the exploration and the progression of the game. But that wasn't just why I loved it. The revenge story and all the plot twists, like all the plot twists that you saw with like Shulk and everybody else, and just like every time I turned around and every single zone, I'm like, whoa, blew my mind. The party members, they actually matter to the story. Like they develop real arcs that make sense, that go along with the story. Like it wasn't just like jokey, fun. It was like real stakes, real just unbelievably good storyline. I loved it. I know a lot of people like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 story better, but I've got to say this one just holds a special place in my heart. I could not believe what I saw when I first played Xenoblade Chronicles. And finally, saving the best for last, my favorite game. At first I was like maybe Chrono Trigger, and then I moved Chrono Trigger down to the game that everybody needs to play, because I really do feel like everybody needs to play Chrono Trigger. So I replaced this with Dragon Quest V. Yeah, so good. This is such a great game. So it follows a hero, and it's the hero throughout his life. He starts off as a little boy, then he's a 16-year-old, then I think he's like 26 or something. So it's every 10 years. And at first, like he's so small, like he can't even read. You go up to a sign and it'll be like, the sign says such and such, but David can't read it, you know? So, and then at one point he meets like Bianca, and Bianca is 1 year older, so she can read, and she's like telling him a story and all that. So it's just cute. And he's a little kid, and he's going on through, and he's like doing little kid stuff. He's just plunking, exploring a cave, or going to like a little fairyland or whatever. And then tragedy strikes. A lot of tragedy for this little kid. And then 10 years go by, and at this point, the world has changed. The world's kind of taken over, and great evil has come out. And you're thinking, oh, you know, I'm the legendary hero. Of course, I'm the hero. And it's at this point you realize, oh, I'm not the hero. I'm actually a white mage. Like, what? Since when is the hero of a Dragon Quest game a white mage? Like, okay, whatever. And you're like, well, then who is the hero? I need to find the hero. And you start recruiting monsters into your party, going around the world and everything. And then you actually get married. You get a choice of a bride. And depending on which game you're playing, you could either choose between Bianca or Flora, and then the DS version, Deborah. And each bride plays it differently, and your children will also be different too, depending on which bride you choose as well. And then tragedy strikes. And then you're an adult. And then your children are growing up, and they're join with you when they're, 8, 9, 10 years old, and they join with you. And you're still like, well, who's the hero? You're going around trying to find her. You're going around trying to save the world and everything, and it's just so cool to see the world progress over the course of 30 years. And then it's just amazing. Such a good game. It's such a good game. It's such a good game. Oh, I love this video. I love putting together stuff like this and just talking about my favorite games and why they are my favorite. And now I want to hear from y'all. What are your favorite games and why are they your favorites? Let me know in the comments, and as always, have a good day.